In this video we're going to learn how sustainable is Microsoft Azure. We're going to split it up into three different areas. The first is comparing a Microsoft data center to a typical enterprise data center. Then we're going to learn how to select a region for your resources based on sustainability. After that, we're going to look at the future of Microsoft Azure. For a bonus, we're then going to look at three cool new innovations that could improve Microsoft's data center sustainability. All the resources and socials for this channel are in the description. So let's get into it. Microsoft have been carbon neutral since 2012, removing as much carbon as they emit each year. This is done via carbon removal, which is also known as carbon offsetting, or reducing emissions. This does mean for the services inside Azure that you are using that it's also carbon neutral. Microsoft is also tackling other areas of sustainability. This includes water, waste and ecosystems, which will be covered partially in this video. Let's have a look at comparing Microsoft Cloud data centers to enterprise data centers. In 2018, Microsoft produced a white paper comparing Microsoft data centers to traditional enterprise data centers, more looking at the energy efficiency and carbon efficiency. The results showed that in terms of energy efficiency, it could be between 22 and 93% more efficient. In terms of carbon efficiency, the results showed it was between 72 and 98% more carbon efficient. This was due to four key features of the Microsoft Cloud. These are IT operation and equipment efficiency, data center infrastructure efficiency, and renewable electricity. So let's talk about operational efficiency. The Microsoft Cloud can provide large economies of scale. This is like other cloud providers like GCP and AWS, allowing greater efficiency compared to on-premises deployments. The Microsoft Cloud can use dynamic provisioning, avoiding over-provisioning, and using monitoring and demand predictions to ensure that over-provisioning does not happen. Microsoft Cloud can also use multi-tenancy, allowing them to size equipment based on a group of users. Let's talk about IT equipment efficiency. Microsoft has a huge financial incentive to improve the equipment efficiency in its data centers. This is due to the amount of electricity that Microsoft data centers require. Microsoft gets specially designed equipment that is focusing on maximum efficiency. This allows them to result in a 10% reduction in overall reduced electricity consumption across its data centers. Next, we're going to talk about data center infrastructure efficiency. Microsoft uses hyperscale data centers, providing better PUE or power usage efficiency compared to typical enterprise data centers. Microsoft monitors this figure for all its data centers and constantly implements new innovations to ensure that this PUE improves. Our final one is renewable electricity. Microsoft has huge demand on electricity in its Microsoft Cloud data centers. Microsoft tries to opt for renewable energy where possible, purchases large-scale power and then brings on new projects where it would not normally be viable for. This is where enterprise data centers would normally find it hard because it won't have the funds to bring these projects online. When renewables are not available, Microsoft will purchase renewable energy certificates, ensuring that the resources in Microsoft Cloud are 100% carbon neutral. Microsoft purchases certificates for 95% of its energy usage. So how do you select a region based on sustainability? In the Microsoft Cloud, not all are as sustainable as each other. The best example of this, North Europe has a zero waste certification, when West Europe does not. A zero waste certification shows that a region diverts at least 90% of its food, office and construction waste away from landfills and then used through employee-driven reuse, recycling and composting programs, and also sustainable community partnerships. So the question you have now is, how can I find out how sustainable my region is, or at least compare it? For me, I would use the Azure infrastructure map. This allows you to view your region at a glance. So let's have a look at that now. If you load up the Azure Global Infrastructure Map, you can select your region, and then here you'll be able to view, if you scroll down a bit, to its sustainability section. If you select North Europe and scroll down to sustainability, you can see that it has a zero waste certification. If you then select West Europe and then scroll down to sustainability, you'll see that it has no zero waste certification. So if you was going to choose a region based on sustainability, I would go for Northern Europe for that reason. Obviously, there is many other reasons other than sustainability why you would select a region, but if it's just off sustainability, for me, it would be Northern Europe over, say, West Europe. This is my first video for this channel. Before you go any further, can you please like, comment and subscribe? It would be a great help. Let's talk about goals and the future of Microsoft Cloud. So Microsoft want to be carbon negative by 2030. They want to go even further than this and remove all carbon footprint by 2050. This means the removal of all historic emissions since the company's foundation in 1975. Microsoft also wants to be 100% renewable energy by 2025. Microsoft has lined up purchase agreements to supply green energy to its data centers, replacing 100% of the carbon emitted. Microsoft also wants to be water positive by 2030 as well. This means reducing and replenishing more than it consumes, targeting areas than it actually works in. Because it won't make sense if Microsoft replaced it elsewhere, because the actual water they use would only affect the local area. Another goal that Microsoft has is zero waste by 2030. This means diverting waste from landfills and incinerators, and reducing waste from direct operations, products and packaging. In 2020, Microsoft diverted 60,000 metric tons of waste away from landfills and incineration. To supplement this, Microsoft also want to introduce something called Microsoft Circular Centers. These are on-site facilities which aim to reuse servers and components by 90% by 2025. This is important because Microsoft has a lot of churn of components, since each server needs to be replaced over a short time period. Do you think Microsoft's sustainability goals are enough? What else would you add? Comment in the description below. As promised, we're now going to look at 3 cool innovations that could help the sustainability of Microsoft Cloud. The first one is a liquid immersion cooling. It's basically submerging AI chips in low boil dielectric liquid in a closed loop system to cool the chips. This is instead of using traditional methods in data centers. This is also saving in water and benefiting 5 to 15% in decreased power consumption. The next one is grid interactive UPS batteries. The UPS stands for interruptible power supply batteries. The idea of these batteries is to replace the current fossil fuel hungry backup generators. The benefit of these batteries is to allow quicker supply of energy. Also, it can be a greener option of energy storage. Microsoft can use the batteries to aid the grid at peak times, providing control up to microburst of electricity, meaning using an algorithm to control when to use these batteries to supply energy or when to use the grid to supply energy. This can reduce the demand on the grid by 10% from a typical Microsoft data center. The next innovation is using clean fuels for power backup. Currently in a lot of Microsoft data centers, they use diesel generators as power backups. Instead, they can replace this fuel with synthetic diesel, which currently requires no modification. Synthetic diesel is sourced from biomass, which is very close to carbon neutral. Microsoft do have a better solution than using these diesel generators. They could use the batteries, as we've mentioned before, but they also could use hydrogen fuel cells. Hydrogen fuel cells can provide green power for backup generation in Microsoft data centers. These fuel cells can generate 2 times more efficient power than a combustion engine, also allowing, like batteries, for short-term power at peak times, again reducing the demand on the grid, and also doing it without emitting carbon. Hope you found this video useful. All the resources are in the description, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.